Movies that are essentially torture porn aren't new. The most popular movie in this odd genre is Saw, but it goes back way further than 2004. For example, Cube, a movie, about people stuck in a cube trying to avoid death, was released in 1997. Recently, however, the genre has surged back into the public eye with the release of a Korean survival drama show on Netflix known as Squid Game. I was alerted to the show and its popularity probably the same as you did, exposed to a sudden flood of memes on social media about the show with zero context to them, and gradually I discovered where it was from. Originally, I wasn't planning to watch Squid Game, but the constant deluge of memes with the show as the focus left me wanting to at least give it a chance. So I did, and here we are now, about to talk about it. In case you're not familiar with Squid Game and are also desperate for some context, the synopsis is that a man named Gi-hun, a desperate and broke gambler, is scouted and invited to a game where the winner walks away with billions of won, the currency in Korea. But as you can probably guess by the introduction to this video, shit goes real wrong real fast. If you want a good visualization of what this show has to offer, imagine 9 episodes of simplistic Saw games with hundreds of participants. And when I say simplistic, I mean extraordinarily simplistic. Most of the show's thrills come from the way the contestants are manipulated and how they react to each other in the games. The games themselves are only interesting because the bar is set pretty low. Needless to say, Jigsaw would shake his fucking head at the shit quality of most of the games. Before we move on to the spoilers, we ask the ultimate question. Is it worth watching Squid Game? In a sense, yeah, if you're one of those people who have a Netflix subscription and you're absolutely desperate for something to watch, you can do worse than Squid Game, but you can also definitely do better. Anyway, on to the spoilers.
Oh my god, okay, it's happening!
Frankly, I'm perplexed about the insane popularity of Squid Game. There has to be someone or something manipulating these people into believing the show is worth watching. The writing isn't spectacularly different, fascinating, or nuanced from its closest peers. It's really easy to get confused about the people the show puts in front of you, and only a handful of them are actually written well enough so as to avoid being forgettable. In a 9-episode long series, each episode around 55 minutes of actual showtime, I expected to be able to at least use every finger on one hand to count the number of unforgettable characters, but I struggled to reach 4. Even the show's protagonist isn't really that interesting. Not that it's the fault of the actor, who did quite well to bring its character to life. The way he's written just doesn't really grab me. Normally in these instances, when a character doesn't feel very well written, I step back and look at it from another angle. Is this character written like shit for a reason? Is this done on purpose? Sometimes this helps me understand the movie better. Here, however, I cannot, for the life of me, find a purpose or reason for this, so the only answer is that the protagonist is just boring for no apparent reason. Such a thing isn't really the death knell of any one movie or show. Just look at the Fast and the Furious franchise and how well that's done at the box office. Jokes aside, there are characters that are really well written and interesting, more fleshed out than Gi-hun. For example, the old man is easily the most interesting and charismatic character on the show. Following it a close second is Ali Abdul, the Pakistani immigrant, who is an extremely flawed character, but one I think everyone loved and empathized with. Beyond those two, I struggle to really find any of the other characters to be worth remembering. Again, not at the fault of the actors, but the writing. You can generally tell this is a sentiment shared among a lot of the people who watch the show, because most of the memes I've seen for Squid Game have either the old man or Ali. Besides that, the plot is fairly predictable, and I was able to pretty much guess every upcoming plot twist by the time the first episode had ended. It got to the point where I was so desperate to be wrong that my expectations of predictions would be subverted that I pressed on despite minimal motivation to continue watching. I don't necessarily regret the 8 hours or so that I spent watching Squid Game, but I doubt I'm going to remember it once the hype surrounding it dies down. Another problem I have with the writing is that there were a lot of instances where characters do things and there's basically no payoff for it. For example, one of the show's 2 notable primary girls, and I'm probably going to butcher this, Kang Se-byuk, gets into the ventilation system and discovers the game's mysterious masked men preparing for the next trial. She discovers that it involves sugar, which she shares with the people she's closest to, but it proves to give them no real advantage in the next game. This is something that happens fairly often, where a character obtains information that is more vague than what exactly the next game will be, and nothing comes out of it. So, man, I won't lie. There were instances where I struggled with continuing to watch a show. They could have trimmed this down to 5 or 6 episodes pretty easily, so it feels really dragged out. It's hard not to notice it. Similarly, the only game that was really well written and genuinely tense was The Bridge with the normal and tempered glass. It wasn't any more sophisticated or interesting than the previous games, but the human element really saved that particular game and episode. It was a shiny diamond buried in the shit, one of very few to be found here, unfortunately. I wanted so much to like Squid Game, to be able to agree with the hype, but all I really got out of it was context for memes that will struggle to exist by the end of the year. I feel like people were caught by the Netflix hype machine again, same with stuff like Bird Box, Bright, and Cloverfield Paradox. If you watch those movies and you're thinking, oh shit, he's got a point, don't worry, man. I got caught up in the hype surrounding Squid Game, and I didn't go with my gut instinct, and now I'm out 8 hours with nothing to really show for it, so you're in good company. Thanks for hanging out today. If you want more chunky beef, subscribe here or follow me on Twitter, link in the description below. See you soon.